Question from Kayam Khan is, what do you recommend as some of the greatest examples of cinematography in terms of movies and series titles?
Wow, that's such a big question. It's funny, my spectrum of likes and dislikes are kind of like enormous. I mean, I love movies that I've already referred to in the last few days an awful lot. I think I've got a really horrible memory. One of my favorite films of all time was Polanski's first English language movie, which was a movie called Cul-de-sac, which was shot in black and white. It's a very simple film, but it was just a lovely idea, and he did it was the first film he made in English after he made Knife in the Water, which was the Polish film that got him recognized. Obviously, this is quite a while ago, and it's a beautiful film for textural detail and really cool film. The other film I mentioned earlier, The Road to Perdition, was a beautifully shot movie by Conrad Hall, and I think it's his last movie. I could be incorrect about that, but he was about 70 years old, I think, when he shot it, and it's just an absolutely beautiful film. I love 2001, Kubrick's 2001. It's one of my favorite DPs. Jeffrey Unsworth shot that. I've got a lot of really favorite movies.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Gail, Dreamed in the chat room would like to know, when you talked about watching a film without sound, can you recommend some other exercises that improve your eye, vision, imagination, detail-oriented skills, and give you a better chance to work with professionals?
That's kind of like two questions in one. I think there's a book called Painting with Light that was written by a film noir DP called John Alton, and I think it was actually written in the 40s and 50s, and quite a lot of the information in it is a little bit dated, but a lot of the principles still apply. And it talks about how interesting it is, for example, just to sit in a room and just sit there and observe as the day goes by. Just watch what happens to shadows, watch what happens to the color, watch what happens to, just the whole feeling of the room, how the room changes given the changing light, given the warmth in the afternoon, the sort of starkness of the light, the clarity of light in the morning, and just being observant is kind of the key to kind of seeing interesting images and knowing what they are, and also knowing the dangers that await you if you're not paying attention, such as being aware of color casts, and you can get into trouble very, very quickly if you're not observant. And like the story I was telling you the other day about when telling the audience the other day about how I suddenly noticed an actor's face was very orange, and my first assistant cameraman had come up beside camera with a very bright orange waterproof on because it looked like it was going to start raining, and then suddenly I noticed that the actor's face was very orange, and it's just like being aware of everything that's happening around you and just literally separating your brain, because your brain will compensate for all of that. And,
Thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
Another question from Gotta Know, who says, love the tone and color on your blog for Jack Bull. Can you walk us through how you arrived at that? The color and the tone.
It's that was a television project, and when I first started shooting movies, you had very, very little control over what you could do with your color palette. Basically, you could go lighter, you could go darker, or you could shift towards one of three primary colors. Since those days now, you go film in, film out, where you can go into very sophisticated color programs, such as what we use on House is a program called Nucoder, which is a very sophisticated color timing program that enables you to window things. And when I say window, it means separating out an area of a picture and controlling it independently of the rest of the picture. So, for example, you can track an actor's face and change the color of it slightly. You could track an area of sky on a panning shot to de-emphasize the brightness of it, or to darken it down, or to change the color, or to, so nowadays what you can do in post is incredible compared to what you used to be able to do in the old days, where it was, how do you want it, darker, lighter, red or green? That was kind of it, and that's when it was just literally negative being printed onto print stock, and before we had all these wonderful tools that we now have. And I mean, you can even go in now and get underneath an actor's eyes or an actress's eyes and just get rid of little lines by just defocusing that and then tracking that window along with their movement, just so that you get rid of potential problems. Because all actors get tired, and there'll be times when you're in a rush and the light wasn't the best, and you end up with things in shot that's not going to make you Mr. Popular with your leading lady. If you were in a rush and so on and so forth. So those sorts of things you can often get at in post these days and make it look so much better. And I would say that in the world of television, at least half of my work happens in post, because, and again, I'm at the risk of repeating myself, it's much faster to do something in post with one person in 10 minutes than it is to correct an issue on set, where an exaggeration of this, like 200 people might be standing around. If I take 5 minutes with 200 people, it's a lot more expensive than 10 minutes with one guy. So the economics have dictated that you let quite a lot of things go in television and in movies nowadays, which that you can correct easily in post. So much is done in post. I mean, buildings are removed. I mean, all kinds of reflections are got rid of. I mean, all kinds of things.
Thanks, Gil. Well, I think
Great.
we're ready to move along.
Well, what we basically got going on here is we set up a sort of a fairly sort of, I don't know, cliched scene, I suppose. I'm really good at cliches, by the way. Which is basically good cop, bad cop, and lady of the night suspect. And I'd love our wonderful cast here to introduce themselves, if the cameras can come around onto everybody, and you will say hi to the audience. There's about 15 million people out there apparently watching this.
Does this dress make me look fat? Hi, I'm Julianne Christie. I've worked with Creative Live a few times. I'm a professional actress here in Seattle via Los Angeles, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm Mark Carvajal. I am an actor here in Seattle as well.
Where are you from?
From Greeley, Colorado.
No, Unexpected Productions.
What's that?
Unexpected Productions.
Oh, yeah. Unexpected Productions, I guess. Yeah.
And my name is Derek Cavan. I'm also from Unexpected Productions here in Seattle, Washington.
Please tell us a little bit about Unexpected Productions. I don't think anyone knows what it is.
Yeah, Unexpected Productions is an improv company based here in Seattle. We've been in Seattle for 28 years. We have 9 shows a week, I think, at this point. Our flagship show is Theater Sports, which is akin to Whose Line Is It Anyway? I've been doing that since 1983. So what else do we do? We have classes for people.
I want to play with Unexpected Productions.
Now, where do we start? I think our wonderful cast introduced themselves, and so welcome to Creative Live. Basically, what we've set up again, as I mentioned, is a slight cliche, police station interview room. This is our good cop here, and our lady of the night, and our bad cop, basically. So we just basically just set up a very sort of base kind of lighting, sort of as in your head you might imagine a police interrogation room. there's probably no police interrogation room in the world that looks like this, but in every movie there is. So we're going with that sort of silly thought anyway. What we basically got going here is a very small amount of fill light coming from behind here, back up behind here, which is basically just putting a tiny bit of ambience into the set. Quite a lot of it's coming from the ceiling and bouncing off that. There's ambient light coming into the set, bouncing off that white wall up there. But as you can all see, the key light in this scene at the moment is just basically a 150-watt light bulb, just in a hanging practical light here. And that's really doing most of the work in this scene. So we asked him to start to work out a little scenario. Let's just try a little rehearsal first of all to see how it works, and then that might, exactly the same way as we do on House, the way you start with the scene is the director, the writer, and the actors, of course, tend to do a private rehearsal where basically, we have a script. In this case, we don't have a script, but so we can ad-lib it to a certain extent and make it up as we go along. So basically, the idea would be that Derek, being the bad cop, has been watching through this one-way mirror over here, which will, whether that photographs or not, is another issue, but he's been watching this and losing patience with the fact that, I'm sorry, what's your name? Mark. That Mark is not really making much progress with getting the information that's needed, so he'll come bursting in and use a much more aggressive tone, to try and get the information that's needed here. So we'll basically try that scene. So what did we decide your crime was, apart from what do we think you're doing here?
Well, I think that I was loitering.
Right.
But they seem to think it had something to do with me accepting this gift from the mayor.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right, I love that. Cool. All right, so now at the moment, let me just have a look at the camera over here and see where we are tonally. We've actually got quite a lot of contrast going on here, but it's kind of interesting. I'm just using the Marshall false color here to see where I am exposure-wise. We're on the edge of being a tiny bit clipped. But not quite clipped. So I think we're actually in a very good space here. This seems to be a very good exposure. There's nice shadow. We're down to, again, light blues and dark blues here are 10 and 20%, which is fine. And there's plenty of detail in there, as you can see when I go back to, actually, you don't see this change on the big monitor. And in fact, the only way of seeing this, are you reading it on that camera? The only way of seeing it is, it doesn't transpose to any other monitor. It's only available on this actual monitor. And you can see by dialing up and down the stop how it basically changes. And, but this is a fairly low-key scene. Where were we just now, Steve? Were we at... let's just have a look.
Click it again.
That's pretty good.
I think we were actually. What's your name? I think we might have been at like 6. Yeah, to be Trixie. That's where we were.
Yeah, 6. Yeah, so that's pretty nice, actually. And again, don't be too afraid of being a tiny bit underexposed on digital. It's exactly the opposite of exposing film negative, where it's nice to have a tiny bit more exposure. So that's it. Again, today I'm sure we're going to have a lot of very disappointed viewers that we're not going to take a lot of time to build in camera movement, because we won't get very far if we do. So we're going to tend to shoot this as static shots. this master shot here, it would be very nice to have some foreground in this, which might be a bookcase, or do we have anything that we can put in foreground? Maybe, I mean, obviously in an interrogation room, there's generally not an awful lot of stuff. There's certainly not a bowl of flowers. There might be another table, there might be, maybe a little bit of shelving or something like that with a couple of law books or something on there. You know, just something so that we can create foreground, background, and create some depth, which generally I think is terribly important. You know, just so that you could have something out of focus in the foreground, just to, rather like we did the other day. Ah, perfect, a shelf, great. Here comes the shelf. Yeah, so, you know, what would be really nice is to bring that right in here and really foreground that guy. And we'll keep it out of that camera, or let's just, yeah, let's have a look at this. Let's, you know what, maybe we'll just use the shelf just by itself. Could somebody help me with this camera and just raise the camera up a fraction? And just go a little bit towards you that way. Just so that we're just skimming over the bottom of this.
Grab. See the bottom.
Sorry guys, this is all the really boring technical stuff. But it's a cheat, so I think it's rather nice to have that lip up here, and it's just, it should be sort of fairly fuzzy, so cool. So now we've got a little bit of foreground going on, which gives us a little bit of depth. Have we got just a book or something that we can put down here to just give us a little bit of texture? Yeah, that might be nice. It'll give us. Let's have a little look. So that's actually a wee bit dark. I'm wondering if we. Yeah, there we go. How's that? Yeah, that's nice. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. This could be. This could be. Let's have a look. So there we go. Now we're starting to build an image. We've got. I'm going to come just a fraction wider. Didn't realise we'd gone in on the zoom. Yeah. Now we're starting to get something going here. Obviously, to have sort of antique books in a police interrogation room doesn't make an awful lot of sense, but it's just the idea of using foreground. There'd be something more apt that could be here. There might be a tape recorder. This could be an observation window with a reflection of a face in here that's basically watching this scene unseen by our suspect inside. So now let's think about a little scene. Let's just hang in the room for a second, Derek, while we work out the actual scene. Now, Sean, I think we've lost just a tiny bit too much ambience. I'm feeling that Derek's just a little bit too dark. So should we maybe just raise this teaser just a fraction? Let me go on. I can go on this end.
There's a lot of.
Bring up the other 1K too.
Oh, maybe try that. Yeah. The only thing is, what I'm seeing the shadows above the top, and I was hoping to kill them by just taking that up a little bit. Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's better. There we go. And let's try playing the other one too. You might have been right. Yeah, that's better. Now we've got a little bit more fill on Derek, a little bit more fill overall in there, and not quite so much contrast. Okay, so let's think about, Mark, think about what you might be asking and sort of trying to get information and all. Very nice. You're the nice cop and all of that stuff. So we'll play that for a minute or two, and then let's have the feeling that Derek's been watching through the window here, and then you basically burst in, and then you've lost your patience. I mean, it's a game that the cops play all the time. Every time I've been in an interrogation room.
Yeah, this is much bigger than my normal interrogation rooms.
And I think just because of the way we're staging this, and the two cameras are over there, be aware of the angles that could work quite nicely. I think it might be nice to get right in your face. For you like that. So you play the light a little bit and, sort of work with it like that, and, be quite aggressive. And then, maybe Mark might get up and pace around. And so just ad-lib something as a starter, and we'll see how that goes.
These are pretty good.
Would you like me to go out?
Yeah, let's start out, and it'll all start off kind of quite pleasant and nice, and then it'll build into something that's really quite aggressive,
Okay.
Okay, let's give it a shot. So, are we all ready? And action.
Hi, Trixie. My name is Officer Rielson.
Yeah, sorry. Nice warm hands.
Yeah, you are entitled to an attorney, and you can have him anytime you want. We can appoint one to you as well. I want to let you know that I'm going to be recording this, okay? So I'm starting right
Do I
now.
have a choice on the recording?
Choice?
And it's not being recorded?
No, you don't. You don't. This
And
will
so,
be.
if my attorney was here, he would say she'd rather not be recorded.
He could say that. I can not record it, but
And
eventually.
because I'm not an attorney, I should probably just stop fighting for that right now.
It's your choice. I can also write it down if you don't want it recorded,
I have
but it
two
will be
attorneys,
recorded.
but both of their wives don't
Listen.
care.
Okay.
I've had enough of this.
So this is Officer Stice.
Enough of what? We're just
Yeah.
getting
Let's
acquainted.
get down to brass tacks here, all right? What were you doing with the mayor in that car?
Okay, we're getting to that.
What were you doing there?
I was learning about his issues.
His issues.
Your breath is horrible.
Okay, so why don't we just
Your
back up?
attitude is horrible.
I have been very cooperative. Have I
You've
not
been nothing like that. Now tell me what you were doing in that car now.
Stop breathing down my neck, please.
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
so why don't we
When you
just-
stop beating around the bush?
Hey, Stice, can we back up? Hey, Stice, sit down.
I think that's cool. That's probably as much of the scene that we want, but I think that's basically working really nicely. That's really cool. I think that's fun. What would be lovely, Mark, is instead of playing it all in profile, it might be nice to kind of come around here.
Okay.
And, Derek. So that when, rather than just being a completely profile, and then sometimes you can stand up like that and then just come back in again. So there's some dynamics to your movement and things like that. And so, when you can come in with force, kind of like that, and, there might be a moment where you think, Derek's tactic's not going to work, and you might go, like that, and stand up and pace a little bit, and then come back and sit down, and so there's a bit more movement in general. Okay, let's just try that once more. Should we try and record this one and see what happens? But that was generally really sweet, guys. Now, just before we go any further, let's see if there's any suggestions from, first of all, our class here and from the internet about what we're setting up here and why we're doing certain things, and,
There's a comment from Prod DK. Can Gail do a close-up when he gets all in her face? That would be nice.
Oh, that's certainly on the books, yeah.
Okay.
That we can manage.
For sure.
I'm dying to do a close-up.
There's just a 1 second delay, so we'll just wait for the comments to come in. So
Right,
anyone
okay.
in the classroom have a suggestion?
Probably start with over the shoulders.
I think so. I think it's always lovely to kind of, have the interaction between the actors rather than shooting it cold. Unless, sometimes when you shoot a single, a devoid single, it makes somebody kind of rather lonely in frame, and that can work as well. In this case, because it's kind of, especially when Derek gets involved, it's so on top of it, you really want to kind of put the two of them in the same frame. But, but it's, it's very much again, I'm not a director, I'm a DP, and so there's probably, if any of my directors from house are watching this, they're probably laughing their guts out, but anyway. But I think it's working generally very nicely and nicely put together by you guys. So let's try and shoot one. And why don't our students man the cameras here and go through the check the focus. If you feel you want to, you can add a tiny bit of tension to a shot by just allowing it to float a tiny bit. It's really kind of quite an interesting technique. So just so that, for example, the camera isn't absolutely locked in concrete. It's just floating a tiny bit. It makes you feel that maybe this is a POV through a window. It just gives that tiny suggestion that it's got a...
Out of focus?
Sorry?
You said just a little out of focus?
No, I'm talking about just a tiny bit of camera movement.
Oh,
Just very, very tiny. It's something more like...
okay.
It just gives it a bit of breath,
Like we're peeking.
Yeah, kind of, but it's really subtle. It's almost so that you don't see it, and it can just help in terms of, creating a tiny bit of tension, So how do we feel about shooting this? Are you guys good to go?
Yes.
Okay.
He just hit on me. That cop just hit on me.
Okay, so how are we all fixed? Are we all good? Is this all working for everybody? All right, so let's roll cameras.
Okay.
There we go. We're good. Are we rolling everywhere?
Camera speeding.
Okay, and action.
Okay, Trixie. So you know why we brought you in here?
Trespassing.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I do want you to know this is being recorded, and this shouldn't take too long, probably about 20 minutes. I'm going to just ask you some questions. My name's Officer William.
Officer William.
Yeah.
Is that your first name or your last name?
Williams is my last name.
Williams.
Yeah,
What's your last name?
it's Tim Williams.
Oh, Tim.
Yeah, my partner is Officer Stice. It's Liam Stice, and he'll be in shortly.
Oh.
I just wanted to make sure that we had a couple of minutes together first.
I like that.
Why don't you...
Look. Trixie.
He was just going to ask me a couple of questions.
Well, I'm going to ask a couple questions now.
Stice, we were going to just get started.
If we
and
could
then
just get started for a moment.
What were you doing in the mayor's car?
My car broke down.
Your car broke down. You don't have a car. You're on that corner every night.
Don't have a car because it broke down.
Okay, so why don't
You're
we...
smart, aren't you?
I'm very smart.
Real smart. So why don't you grow some brain cells and tell me why you were in that car with the mayor?
Stop staring at my brain cells.
Okay, so we have a couple pictures here of you in the car. It's on Mercer and 12th with Mayor Collins. I want you to see if this...
Who I have
is this
been
you in
friends
this
with
picture?
for a very long time.
30 minutes of friendship is
Okay,
not a
Stice,
friendship.
Stice, can you sit down or...
No, I'm not going to sit down.
Is this
You were there
legal?
for a reason.
Is this legal?
This is totally legal.
Oh, is it? And is this all being recorded as well, where he's threatening me, pushing me out of the chair?
Not anymore.
Okay, so laws.
Okay,
don't apply to-
let's cut there. That was really great. Let's cut cameras. Sorry, this is going to be, as a director, I'm really going to be rude and not pay attention too much to the performance because I think this is all working really well. Because this is a lighting exercise, can anybody suggest here what we might do to improve the lighting on this scene? What's slightly, sort of neither here nor there?
We have a couple of things on the internet. Frisch Beetle has said, would love to see a different color temperature on her, on the actress.
What would justify that?
Let's see. Or a different color temperature on the foreground. There's a little delay in between.
Okay, all right. I mean, my only thing here is that what I'm having a problem with is that Derek's not getting really much separation from the background. He's kind of almost stuck to the wall. So the way we might solve this is we might put up, have we got a stand with a 4x4? or a 3x3 bounce card that we can raise up over the top of the wall and then shoot a source 4 up into. Let's take the time to do that. And what that'll do is it'll put a little bit of a rim on Derek. It'll put a little bit of hair light up over on these two guys, and that should improve the scene somewhat. And also, the idea we had of just putting a little bit of light down here would be rather nice. So. Okay, so we'll use the 300 just to kind of glow this up. But have we got something like a 4x4 I can shoot a source 4 into? And that could be maybe quarter blue or something like that, just to give us a bit of hair light here.
Also online, Gail, the Scott Linus has said, when the interrogator stands up, we are losing his light. He's going into a shadow.
Yeah, he is. But I mean, that's something that you wouldn't live in this wide shot for all that long, you know. And I was going to talk to Derek about that anyway. You know, that's the only thing. Maybe just play it a little bit lower so you don't go out of this guy quite so. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So just a few minutes and we'll be at it again. You know what? Is that 300 on a dimmer, Sean? Can you dim it right down so it's just literally a glow?
Do you want to start with
Fraction more.
this time and not the introduction, so you have a minute?
Yeah, about there. That's nice. That's cool. And then all we need now is a little, you know, like a 4x4 bounce up nice and high. We'll source 4 a quarter blue into it and just give these guys a nice little bit of a back edge. And
Gail, so you want me to play like down here the whole time?
I think it's really nice. And you know what might help is just bring your chair down this way a tiny bit, and it'll give you leanability on the table. So you can be, you know, yeah, that's it. Cool.
Is that enough?
Yeah, that's good. So sorry, I was what I meant was a bounce on this.
Cousin's.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, that should work. Okay, cool. All right, fair enough. Something happened. Now we're going to want to back that bounce off a tiny bit, and just so it's not. Yeah, there we go. And can we take the source 4 actually down the side here, so that we don't have to deal with all the spill from the lens, and hit the card from about here. So that if the source 4 comes over here. Yeah, we probably just up here. Yeah, if we 45 degree that, then we should, I think you're probably right, Sean, we'll probably get enough out of it. We'll put a quarter blue on this and then we won't have to worry about any spill light in the set. Yeah, just do your best to fill the card as much as you can, and
Gail,
yeah.
can we ask you a question about your ISO choices?
Sorry?
Can we ask you about your ISO choice for this situation?
Yeah.
Lots of folks in the chat room are asking about that.
Yeah, what ISO guys have we ended up with? I was actually more thinking about the lighting than the ISO so far. Are we 640?
1250, Gail.
12:50. Okay, so we are at 12:50. What stop are we on here? 6:3. I'll tell you what. Let's go down to let's play some shallow depth of field here, especially on this camera. Let's go down to, what is that? That's a 4 lens, so that means we could go to 640 on that one anyway.
Yeah, I had a creative idea.
Yeah.
If somebody had like a little silver cross or something, we could rack from that to the.
Sure. No. Absolutely. Yeah.
Everyone has that.
Yeah. Do we have any? I don't suppose anybody has a little silver cross or something like that, or.
St. Christopher's. Someone.
That's a pretty obscure request. Or just for the sake of the exercise, it could be some coins or.
We could put a rat, like The Departed.
Now, Sean, we might well have to add another lamp to that. It's not quite giving us enough. Should we add another Lico to it, or do you want to use a red head up just behind the door there, or?
Really?
That was probably a bad choice of mine to use that unit.
They probably won't even see it from the artifact, from the stream.
So while we're just sorting that out, so Sean, if you can just give me a bit more stop out of that guy, it'd be great. And then we'll be there. In the meantime, are there any other questions?
Well, just like to let you know that the internet was really excited about using a more shallow depth of field.
Right. No, absolutely.
They said thank you, wow, and awesome.
Sorry, some things I'll thank them for reminding me, because I sort of.
That's what's great about the interactive.
Yeah, it's
platform.
difficult. Normally I just light and I don't think about anything else. Doing this is kind of like suddenly I'm sort of distracted, but it's fun.
Well, Gil was going to ask some questions, but he got sidetracked. So he'll be right back.
Is that picking up a little bit? Let's have a look. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that'll do it. That second leak will do it for sure. Oh, hang on. Shouldn't that be blue?
Yes, for quarter.
Oh, is that quarter? Well, that lamp's a lot. Can you double it over, because it's a lot warmer, that lamp, than the other one. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, cool. Cool. Okay, boy. Bit of a struggle. Now we're just beginning to get a little bit of light happening here. Can we see that? Can everyone see what's beginning to happen here? It's a little bit down, but it's workable, especially on the back of Mark's head, because he's got paler coloured hair, and it's going to. So let's start over, and let's go back to number ones, everybody, and we'll try this again. So now we're on a shallower depth of field. Okay, so I think we're just about there. And yeah, that's a nice shot. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. And then give this shot, I think it could be, sort of quite gentle, and then once Mark enters, then it can be a little bit more energetic. So why don't we have somebody help on pulling focus on this camera, because it's certainly going to need it, I think.
You're gonna student.
Are we getting enough out of that? I've
got a 2x3 shiny that we can kind of stick up there to give some more kick.
I think it's just okay. It's just all right.
My original idea was actually to peek it out over.
You know what we could do? Let's just dim this guy down a little bit, and then we'll maybe put a, yeah, and then it'll probably. Ooh, it's probably a bit too much. Just split the difference on that. There we go. That's nice. Okay. Okay, so I think we're ready for another rehearsal. Let's try another rehearsal. Okay, is everybody set? Everybody at their stations?
Did you watch me get in that car?
Okay. All right, so if we're ready, let's roll camera.
Camera speed.
Okay, and action.
So, why don't we just start from the beginning? Why don't you take me through your night last night, starting after about 5 p.m.?
I was planning on meeting up with some friends. My car broke down.
Okay, where were you when your car broke down? And where were you coming from?
I was coming from my apartment on East Lake.
Okay. And your car broke down where?
I don't know the exact street. It was.
Okay, generally,
getting
Trixie.
dark.
Listen.
So it was-
I've had enough of this. Start talking now.
She's answering the questions. We're just getting started.
Not fast enough.
Would you like me to talk really fast?
No,
Okay,
I
why
want you to
don't-
start telling the truth. Now, why were you with the mayor last night?
My car broke down and I was.
Why were you with the
We
mayor?
don't need to, okay? Let's just slow down a little bit. We're not getting to that yet, okay? Why don't you tell me exactly where your car broke
You
down?
know, whenever men are rough with me, they don't get what they want.
Is that right? I got a whole rap sheet that says men were rough with you.
Right? None of them
Okay,
got what they
so
wanted.
we're getting to that, okay? So where did your car break down exactly?
It was just off, maybe Boston and Fairview.
Okay, tell you what, why don't you put this on? Can you put this on
No,
for
I'm
me?
not.
Don't put it on.
Why would I
Okay.
have to?
Okay,
I don't
and
want to
let's cut there, guys. That's great. That's probably as much as we need to go for. So now,
this on?
suggestions for where we would go from here. From the internet first.
We had a question or a suggestion about going through the blinds. Now I've lost that as a establishing shot through the blinds on the right wall.
That would be very nice. The trouble is that that's a solid mirror there, so that one, unless we have some kind of X-ray lens, we can't do that today.
All right, but good idea.
But it's a very nice idea because that would suggest that Mark had been watching this, and it's probably a natural shot that you might do. But in this case, it looks like a window. It's actually a solid mirror, so we can't do that. But a very nice idea, but sorry.
Another suggestion from Sil Hutton. Point of view, shoot at same height as a table with a really shallow depth of field and focus on the hands.
So getting to the same height as the table.
Focusing on the hands. with
Yeah,
a shallow depth of
yeah, that's a nice idea. So whatever we want to do now anyway, we want to move in. So let's move in and we'll try and incorporate that shot.